Okay, so this is like a major bullshit day for me. This is like the third one of these I've done. I'm probably not gonna stick them all out there, and it's not gonna be all that political. I'm gonna try to ease it. It's more of a social thing. I just got finished watching this movie called um, Ancient Apocalypse. This guy, um, Graham Hancock, he's a British dude. And I had seen this guy um, several years ago on a Joe Rogan episode when I used to watch Joe Rogan from time to time. I think I probably watched about five Rogan episodes in my entire life. And that was only because his guest was someone who was interesting to me. So, anyway, this movie is about there was this. He thinks there was this big modern civilization that existed during the Ice Age. Well, and I guess he didn't call it modern. He called it advanced. You know, I don't know why people look at these huge monolithic structures that hey, if a few thousand people put their mind together and decided they're going to build a pyramid or something, they can do it. Humans can do anything. I mean, honestly, have you ever seen like a Mexican crew of any kind? I have. I've been in the construction business. You get a Mexican crew that's like builds slabs or frames or does anything like that. Just like I've said, get the fuck out of the way. So I could easily see, machicas building the pyramids down there in Tlaquepan, I think is how you say it. I'm not exactly sure. The Pyramid of the Sun and the Moon, right outside of Mexico City, and all the other pyramids that are all down in there. There's nothing strange about the fact that these tribal people built these fantastic structures, and all over the world. So anyway, his whole thing is there was this big catastrophe that happened and wiped out this major civilization that had come into fruition because of the Ice Age. Now, that part of it was really pretty ambiguous. You never really, because that Ice Age was here for well over 1,000 years. We usually get them about 15 to 20,000, I think, years, and then they last about 1,000 years. So we're actually sort of due to be cooling off, but because mankind is fucking with the planet, we're not cooling off. No, not happening. So anyway, there's all these weird theories. He's got, he tries to tie in the flood and blah blah blah, and then he gets real ambiguous around the fact that a lot of these people don't want to talk to him about it, and they want to stick to their 5,000 and 6,000 year old thing because they want to believe in the God of Abraham. Let's face it, these Western colonized archaeologists that were the whole science started in Europe with white people. So of course that's all going to filter down through the churches and everything else. So yeah, 12,000 years. that seems that seems really easy for me to understand and get. And there wasn't a um, a comet storm that kind of happened. Earth passed through the tail end of a comet, and we're kind of going into that cycle again. So maybe that little thing they did out in space was, where they just sent that thing up to move that comet, or it wasn't a comet, it was an asteroid. Asteroid is a hunk of rock. Comet is a whirling, twirling ball of ice. I don't know if there's any rocks mixed into it, but it's mainly water cruising around space at tremendous speeds. Now that's amazing, right? That's as amazing as anything. So, getting back to this Hancock character, and of course he's got Joe Rogan in this movie. I gotta say the documentary he did was very well produced. He went to these sites all over the world that were really cool, weird sites I'd never seen before. He didn't spend a lot of time like in, the pyramids, and he went to these other places. He went to this one in Asia that was on a top of a mountain, and they had built this giant labyrinth underneath it. It was, and then he went to some other sites in Turkey, and where they had done the same kind of thing. They had built like almost a city that interconnected, that was all underground, and just all crazy, stuff. And it all kind of dated back to this 12,000 year epoch, whatever, and he thinks the flood happened all at one time. There was these big ice shelves, right? So then this comet, we went through the tail of this comet, and then we were hit by thousands of these little like comet bombs, and debris left from the comet trail, and it hit the ice shelves, and the ice just melted really quick and went all over the world and made a big giant mess. Nah, that I could see that. I could also see other people that I've heard with that theory, that the earth, the people, human beings and civilization and culture and tribal relations and commerce and all is way older than that. I mean, 100,000 years, easy, as far as I'm concerned. They talk about, you talk to, and not one time they went to all these places, and he went to in North America. He went to the whatever the name of the place. I don't know the Havanasane, the Iroquois. I'm not sure how to say the other word, but there's a snake that cruises along, and he had it all lined up with the sun setting 12,000 years ago. Because the Earth does wobble a little bit every 42,000 years, I think. So anyway, all these theories, all this stuff, it's mainly just speculation. But the one part of it I'll give him is that he didn't go into the, it couldn't have been primitive man. It must have been some, white god from the north that came down and showed these primitive people how to do this. You hear that kind of shit all the time, and it's just dumb shit, you know. Humans are smart. They have been smart. Look how smart dogs are, monkeys and shit. I mean, they're smart. I had an Australian Shepherd that I had for, about 10 years. Smart. It was smarter than really a lot of humans I know. Anyway. And then there's Joe Rogan, doing all this stuff in there. He looks like it looks like every part of his body's been hit up with Botox. And he just looks like this weird little gnome character. I don't know. I don't care much for him. His whole show and all that. He's so. And the other thing is, in all of this, he didn't mention. He went into North America and he just got into the snake thing that's in Ohio, Snake Mound or whatever it's called. But he never went to Cahokia. I think that's how you say it. The big mounds that are down the Mississippi Valley. There are hundreds of thousands of these mounds everywhere. There's even mounds in the south, down along the Gulf Coast. There's one that remains. It's down in Fort Walton Beach, right downtown. So and they were everywhere. And I was talking to a cat about this I was in Taos, New Mexico, and he wasn't I think he was an Apache. I think he was a Mescalero, but he was up there at the casino, and I happened to just have a chat with him when I was down there gambling a little bit. So we got to talking about native stuff a little bit here and there. We were talking about how white man's always trying to make everything all this big, huge spiritual thing, and when you think the whole world is spiritual, and you think everything is spiritual, and the air and the water and all human life and all the other life and the rest of the universe and all of it's spiritual. And you're just going along your daily life, doing all the things you normally do. You don't have to stop and go. You don't have to. You're in church. You don't have to go to church. You can make your church is already made. There could be things they did like dance and stuff like that, but that was like their TV. It was their entertainment was more that. You mix it in with spirituality and all that if you want, but when everything is spiritual, everything is spiritual. Everything. Anyway, that's kind of the way I look at it. But I always thought it was kind of funny because these big mounds that are built all over the place, all through the Ohio Valley and the Mississippi Valley and the Missouri, all up in but they were really in these river valleys in the Mississippi Basin. And this guy I was with, he just said, well, yeah, Indians needed to get out of the flood too. Oh, yeah, you bet. Come a flood, it would be, especially when you're down there in those river valleys where there's no real mountains or anything or high ground. Damn mountain would come in pretty frickin' handy. If all of a sudden you had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 feet of water around you for a week. So, whatever. I don't know. The point I'm trying to make is that they're playing all this dramatic music and doing all the dun dun dun. We found this. 99% of what these people were doing was just daily life. You know, they're talking about all these caves because we're going to get away from the big, you know, cataclysm that was going to come, and they were preparing for it and all of that. And I'm looking at this place, and it's just this giant barren valley that probably at certain times of the year you could grow something. The rest of the time it's just a kind of a big giant desert or chaparral. And then they were saying, well, yeah, and it gets, you know, like 100 degrees. But down here in the catacombs, it's you know, nice at 70. And so I'm like, that kind of tells you right there why they were building these damn catacombs. You know, one or two people figured it out, and they said, "Come on, boys, let's start keep on. And boy, it's cool down here. Yeah, cool as shit." So I mean, sometimes it just blows my mind. Is what I'm trying to get at. The simplest things elude these brilliant scientists and these people that come up with all these conjecture and all these ideas, and when in essence it's just the simple, it's just staring you right in the face what's going on in ancient history. Trust me, everybody had boats. Ancient history, even before the Ice Age, people were cruising around the Pacific and the Atlantic. People were crossing, going from one continent to the other. Look at the Polynesian folks, you know, how wonderful, great sailors they were. And they talk about the, you know, the people on the west coast of Africa and the, you know, and the currents just go perfect. If you came out of the Horn of Africa, or not the Horn of Africa, but that, you know, whatever, that coming out of the Congo, and the, you know, the trade winds and everything just come straight over here right into the Caribbean. And if you come out of the Caribbean and go a little bit north, the trade winds all shoot you straight northeast. And then you can just make a turn and come back down the coast. It's just not, you know, it's been like that for thousands and thousands of years. So I believe it's all way older than 12,000 years ago. I believe the Ice Age is just a little bump in the road in human, you know, development and human history. Might even been a couple of ice ages going back. Yeah, and of course there's not a hell of a lot of evidence left. Shit wears out. Shit gets ground down. Is cruel, you know. Leave a piece of metal laying bare out in the yard, and I can guarantee you it's rusted away in a couple, 2 or 3 years. They have wood and stone, so there's some stone shit laying around still. Anyway, I guess I've just babbled on enough about that. It was just interesting to me, so, and I had my own ideas about it, so I thought I would, you know, spew forth my bullshit, seeing as how I got my new shitty camera up here, and I'm doing it on my Windows Pro Tools Studio. But I tell you, this is pretty cool, and this is all really fun for me because I'm, you know, never mind. I'm just gonna say that's the end of this, and Joe Rogan needs to go hide back up underneath a bridge somewhere. I mean, I know he's worth $1 bazillion and everything, but he's like a very strange human being to me. I think he's starting to believe all that alien crap that they talk about, aliens and all that shit, you know. All right, well, adios, mi amigos.